Armen and Levack, 104.5, the team, your home for New York sports. The Rangers were very busy over the NHL draft weekend. Joining us now is Dave Maloney, former New York Ranger captain and of the MSG Networks as well. And Dave, first of all, Carl Hagelin, no longer a New York Ranger. This was their speedy guy, a big offensive weapon. What happened? Would they get in exchange, and why'd they deal him?
Well, I think the reality in the cap world, there are decisions you have to make at certain points in your economic cycle. And I think the thing that the Rangers were afraid of was having this situation put arbitration and then allowing Carl Hagelin to walk in arbitration and getting nothing back. And those are the decisions you have to make. It certainly has nothing to do with his value as a player to the Ranger franchise. It's really like a lot of these things with veteran players or guys into their career. A lot of the decisions are predicated on the bottom line, the business part of it all. So the Rangers have lost a very valuable player. You're as deep and you go probably as long as you go, as deep as you are, and they've compromised a little their depth now with a real good player in Carl Hagelin, an established player, a very important player to the roster.
So the talent was not equal to what they got back in return. This was completely a cap decision.
Yeah, I mean, you have to replace the talent. Now, Emerson Adams is a former first-round pick. He's a little different player. He's a little more physical than Hagelin. He's got a little bigger presence, a bigger body. There are very few that play the game like Carl Hagelin. That being said, on a roster, he's probably a top 9 player, not a top 6. Now, Edom is a guy that I think was drafted at a certain point to projected to be a top 6. Now, can he be that player at just 23 years of age? Who knows? So it's not as though Carl Hagelin was given away. There's no question. But the reality is, I believe it's a 1-year deal that Edom has left at, I think it's 8 change, or he can be qualified 8 change. So you remove a higher price asset, you hope to replace some of the skill you've lost, and that's probably the way it all works out. In the meantime, it'll be interesting to see how Edom does fit in with this group.
MSG Networks hockey analyst and former New York Ranger Dave Maloney with Armen and Levack on the team.
Dave, the Rangers also part with the guy who came up in the clutch for him, Cam Talbot, the backup goalie.
Yeah, he's not, simply put, he's not going to play as a number 1 here in New York, and I think that was the reality. And in speaking with Cam over time, he knew that, and I think he really liked his development here with Benoit Allaire, the goaltending coach. He got a real chance to kind of, get himself out there, cause people to think that maybe he can take that next step and be a number 1. And that will only, come to fruition if he's given that chance. And it looks like he's going to get that chance in Edmonton. And I think you can quibble about what the Rangers got back for him or what they could have got, or without being privy to the conversation. The reality was the Rangers got 3 picks, and Cam Talbot was another really good guy, an important guy to a franchise that's been pretty competitive, is off to Edmonton.
Dave Maloney with Armen and Levack, 104.5 the team. And Dave, the Rangers ended up trading and getting a backup goalie back. Of course, this weekend in the NHL draft, they made several selections as well. Out of these other storylines, what jumped out to you the most?
Well, the Rangers' machinations at the deadline the last 2 or 3 years have eliminated them from, having a chance at, a little more bona fide blue chippers. What they've done is accumulated a number of assets that you hope strengthen your system. And the reality is, for the kids that were drafted this weekend, for every Connor McDavid or Jack Eichel, there's probably 10 kids that aren't going to make it. So I think you go into it, and of course the Rangers historically have been more inclined, to move the future for present. Whether that plays a role in the fact that there's been 1 cup in a long time, who knows? But it has been the Rangers' way of going about business. I think with Ranta, you're getting a guy that looks like he's more than capable. His numbers were tremendous in Chicago early in the season, and then Garland came out of nowhere and kind of planted him as the backup when Ranty got hurt. So they had to fill a role, a guy with a little bit of veteran presence and a little bit of experience to play behind a guy who you're going to ride him again, and that'll be Henrik Lundqvist. So as far as the draft is concerned, I know that the Rangers have their prospect camp beginning today. I'll probably get over there Wednesday. They're going to scrimmage on Wednesday. Have a little better idea of the sense of what they feel they have in the future when I get over there and watch the scrimmage.
So as of right now, even with the loss of Hagelin and the change into the team, it's hard for you to say what future moves are still coming until you see these guys again.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the future in their franchise, Brady Shea is a defenseman that I think is very highly touted. He's out of Michigan, a former first-round pick of the Rangers. Adam Tambellini, son of Steve Tambellini, is another kid that started at, I think, North Dakota, and he's now playing junior in Calgary. He's come along nicely as a center iceman. So, but when you look at the Rangers, and a lot of the teams, that's a big cap team. You know, that unless they can make money moves, your rosters are basically set. It's just a matter of how you fill in the back end with the amount of money you have left. It brings to mind that the impression you get from St. Louis was at the exit meetings. He was basically explained that there just isn't an awful lot of money left here, in your market. So I just think that from a Rangers standpoint, you can look at the top six. They'll get Stepan done. Certainly that's a priority. So the top six is basically established. The blue line and the goaltender is established. It's just a matter of now, how can you go about, supplanting the back end of your forward group and be competitive?
Position-wise, Dave, what is the one position that the Rangers need to focus on in this offseason?
Oh, boy. Again, I just think it's, the goal in the blue line, you're pretty well set. Whether Hunwick's back in the mix or a Hunwick-type player is back in the mix for some depth there. I do think what was clearly evident, or became evident outside of the injuries, that really had a bigger factor than most of us knew against Tampa. The Rangers have to pay attention to speed and skill. And I do think that a lot of people believe the only way to do that is build through the draft and get yourself in a position to kind of bring along that type of player. So I think from a Rangers standpoint, it'd be very interesting to see now, just when you think, their hands are pretty well tied, Glenn Sather and his group seem to come up with a move or two. You go, wow, how do you pull that one off? So maybe we'll see that through, Wednesday, which is the July 1st. So I guess to answer your question, where they are with who they got to get signed, I think it's just addressing speed and skill. And can you do that? And I think it's become obvious that that's how the coach wants to play, and that's probably the marching orders when it comes to the management end of putting this roster together.
Dave Maloney of the MSG Networks with former New York Ranger with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team. Dave, this team we're looking at right now, after this NHL draft weekend, does this team have the caliber and skill level to go back to the NHL Stanley Cup Finals as of now?
Oh, boy. I'll tell you, that's a dangerous question. I just think that there's so much has to happen. So many things have to fall in place. I mean, if you think that you're that close and you're just thinking a little bit to get to the next step, I'm not sure presently established that they're skilled enough. You're taking a guy like, Hagelin out of the lineup, a very, very important player with how this team presented itself in the last 2 years. Not that he's the key guy, but it's that depth and the depth of skill and talent, skill and quickness that I think will make the difference from a Ranger team. As we like every franchise ages, they grow and then you begin to age. I don't think they're old yet. I think there's probably a year or two left yet out of this core group, but I would really, really like to see them continue to kind of address the speed and skill issue.
Dave Maloney of the MSG Networks. We're keeping an eye on the Rangers this offseason. Hopefully they can make it 3 appearances in the Stanley Cup Finals in a row. No big deal. We're not setting the bar high or anything, Dave. Dave, good talking to you. Always enjoy it.
But what the heck? We might as well set it somewhere.
Let's get crazy.
Why not set it high?
Hey, why not, man? Exactly right. Dave, appreciate you, man. Hope you're having a great offseason. We'll talk to you soon.
It's always a pleasure, guys. Keep up the good work. Thanks for the call.